if you have to choose what you do really well and what you enjoy, if they're two different things, you probably should double down on the thing you enjoy and get better at it. You enjoy it, but you're not good at it. Well, get better at it. Generally, we enjoy what we do very well. That's what you need to focus on. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast, very fun episode for you today. We are talking strategy. We're taking the complex and making it simple. Believe it or not, simple is way harder than complex. I'll explain. We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please do. Helps our numbers. Yeah, I'm not getting sponsored or anything like that, but I like seeing numbers go up. So subscribe, like, smash that like button if you're on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review. If you're not going to leave a 5-star review, please don't leave a review. But no. Having a lot of fun. A lot of things are coming to a head for me in the future of where I'm going to go. Really contemplating whether or not I want to be in the exam room, want to run the business. And the things that get me excited are like my staff meeting, my all hands office meeting we had this month was about the vision of where we're going to go in 2025, the ways we can improve our systems, developing our staff, developing the doctors, growing the practice. I love that stuff. That gives me juice. And it's not something where if I'm not seeing patients, I'm not working. I'm actually doing more work outside the exam room. Seeing patients is the easy part. And when I'm in the exam room seeing patients, I'm wishing I was working on the business, that I was spending time doing the things that I've kind of outlined, mapped the past few podcasts. So that's kind of where I'm headed. The name of the game this year for the podcast is CEO. I want to be the CEO mindset. I want to change into running the business more effectively. I've tried to raise my game on the content that I'm providing, the information I'm putting out there. I want the podcast to be better than it was last year. Like everything else, I want to grow with writing and contributing to Review of Optometric Business. One of the coolest things is I have to put the podcast into words. It is much easier for me to just sit here and talk for 30, 45 minutes than it is to write it down coherently. So by doing that before I do the podcast, I'm getting, I think, better at synthesizing the information, processing it, and putting it out there to the world. And I'm not going to lie to you, I do it from a selfish perspective. It makes me better. I have to think about it. I have to process it. I have to apply it to my practice. That's why I do this. And I hope it helps you out. I hope when you listen to these episodes, you're getting tangible, actionable items that you can apply the very next day. So that's kind of where my mind's at, what I'm trying to do with the business, what I'm trying to do with the podcast, why I'm writing for ROB, contributing to it, because it's a lot of work. One of the things I've realized, and I said to my wife, who is my producer, I say that with air quotes. Why do I say with air quotes? Because I don't know if she's producing this, but she does edit it and give me feedback on things. But for the most part, I just ramble on for 40 minutes and go from there. When I have to write it out, it's a lot more difficult, and I really am doing that with an intent that it will make me comprehend it better. Trying to take it to the next level. I guess that's what I got. So, the name of the game today is simplification. Okay? Simplifying your business is the hardest thing you will ever do. Know what's really easy? Making your business more complex. Adding a tool, adding a piece of equipment, adding a new procedure, adding something that you are going to have the staff do that the doctors are going to do. Really easy to make a complex system. Incredibly difficult to simplify it. I read an article in Inc. magazine. Well, the online version. The title of the article was Why Small Businesses Must Go Narrow, Extremely Narrow to Survive. The path to success runs through radical specialization. And I've been shouting this from the rooftops for the past, I don't know, probably year and a half, is that we do three things really well in our office: dry eye, ocular health and wellness, and optical. That's it. If it's outside of those areas, we don't want to do it. And the article is doubling down on that. With us being small private practices, and I don't care if you're 2, 3 private practices, we're not the My Eye doctors. We're not RX Optical. We're not Pearl Visions, right? Lens crafters. They have so much more buying power. They have so much more leverage than us. When we try to compete with them on glasses or contacts, it's a commodity, right? We can give better lenses. Frames are honestly about the same. We might have some boutique, unique frames if you're a high-end optical, but honestly, I'm not that high-end optical. Okay? Those things are harder to compete on. The more towards the middle you are, the harder it is to differentiate yourself from the masses. Thus, you have to define your territory. You have to double down, triple down, specialize in what you do. And that's where I've felt we've done well, why we've had so much growth over the past year, why I foresee us growing in the future. We know what we do, and we do that very well. To specialize, you have to take something away. Your staff, the office in general, has only so much bandwidth that they can really comprehend and do very well. You're also limited in the space that you have, the doctors, the time. Your patients can only handle so many options. There's a study or a statistic out there. The more options that you give your patient, the less likely they are to make a decision. I don't know the exact numbers there, but you can look it up. It's a real thing. You will overload them with options, overload them with the choices, and they will not make a decision. So we need to specialize. We need to simplify. Simplification is incredibly difficult. I have a 5-step process for us, though. We love our 5 steps. So, the 5 steps to simplifying your office, to specializing. Number 1, define your territory. What is your specialty? What are you going to do better than everyone else? The more specialized you are, the less competition you have. Now realize, just because you have less competition does not mean you have a thriving business. Listen to the last episode. You have to have a specialty that people have a need for. They need to see value in what you do. It's great if other eye doctors see value in what you do. Think about a retinal specialist. In Grand Rapids, we have like 1. They have incredibly high value. It's impossible to get a patient in there. If you're a patient, you can't call them directly. You need to be referred in there. They're so busy, they're not taking your call. That is what I'm talking about. When it comes to dry eye, what I do at my office, we are not just selling Tixel, RF, IPL. We are treating ocular surface disease from start to finish, all the way through pharmaceutical, lifestyle. We like the journey with the patient. A lot of dry eye clinics will buy an IPL, buy an RF, and now they're a dry eye center of excellence. And you know what they do? IPL or RF. They do what they have. There's a difference. Know what your niche is. Know what you're going to focus on. Now realize that you can do this in a lot of different ways. In my clinic, we do primary care to feed the dry eye clinic. We still sell glasses, we still sell contacts, but that's not our focus. That's not our differentiator. It's the top of the funnel. It leads us to our dry eye. And that's what we embrace. We want primary care exams because we know so many patients have dry eye. We're screening for it. We have systems in place to catch it. All right. You do something well. You do something that you really enjoy. Usually they're the same thing. If you have to choose what you do really well and what you enjoy, if they're two different things, you probably should double down on the thing you enjoy and get better at it. You enjoy it, but you're not good at it. Well, get better at it. Generally, we enjoy what we do very well. That's what you need to focus on. You need to take a step back and look at that service, product, whatever it is, and find a way to make that your business. Now, you may be thinking, I would love to do that. How many practices have you heard say, I'm going to sell the practice and start the one I really want? You have a practice right now that you can do that in. You just may have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. In Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game, he talks about being better, not being the best. What he's saying is that if you take a long enough view, the decisions you make become less emotional. They become less reactionary. If you want to be a dry eye clinic and you know you'll be in practice in 20 years, the decisions you make right now, because you know you'll be there in 20 years, aren't as important. You can take your time to get there. If you're worried if you make a decision that it could put you out of business, you're very cautious because you're worried you're going to ruin your business. You've invested in glasses, contacts. If you don't do a bunch of refractions, if you don't do a bunch of optical, oh no, what am I going to do? Are people going to still come and see me? I'll tell you this right now. I was heavy into refractions. We were heavy into managed care. And we had a good business. Good. I've cut my primary care exams. I've cut them into a third. Right? I went from 75 to 25. My revenue per patient has more than doubled because I'm doing what I enjoy and we're doing it very well. You'll be surprised what you can do if you really commit to it. So figure out what you want to do. Then, in order to add something, remember, we're not adding complexity. We're trying to simplify. You have to figure out one thing you're going to stop doing. Okay, so that's a really big, broad question. Let me simplify it into 3 questions. Make this more systematic and you deciding what you're going to stop doing. Question number 1, you have to ask yourself, does it directly increase identification or conversion to your specialty? So for me, if I stop doing something, is that something that was going to help me identify or convert a dry eye patient? If the answer is no, we're going to move on. So no. Next question you ask yourself, does it require a lot of mental bandwidth with very low return? So the things that we're going to eliminate right now are things that don't contribute to your specialty and things that take up a lot of mental energy but have low return. You know there's a ton of those things in your office. For me, one of the things is like a scleral lens patient. Sclerals are great. They have a place. You can do them very well if you're passionate about it. I am neither. I don't do them very well, and I'm not passionate about it. Took a lot of time, effort, and energy to get it billed right, to get the patient in, to think about the adjustments and modifications I was going to have to do, and I didn't enjoy it. Right? So if the answer to question number 2, does it require a lot of mental energy with low return? If the answer is yes, move on to this last question. Would your competition miss it more than you? Ooh, interesting. We're trying to optimize our business. I'm not saying you make decisions solely based on competition, but factor that in. If I stop selling glasses, Would lens crafters be affected if they stop selling glasses? Absolutely. Their model is based on glasses. They are more pot committed to glasses than I am. There's a world that I envision maybe in a few years where I don't sell glasses. Kind of hard to think about. It's what optometry is known for. But I see a world where that could happen for me. I'm pretty pumped about that world. I want that world. I'd love to take that complexity off the table. But if your competition would miss it more than you, there's a very good chance they're a step ahead. They have a better system in place. They're going to double down. That's a harder area to make your specialty. If I stop doing dry eye, I don't think lens crafters would bat an eye. I don't think they're doing dry eye. Not doing it well, right? So ask yourself those questions. Does it directly affect your specialty, identifying or converting it? Does it require a lot of mental bandwidth with low return? And would your competition miss it more than you? These are good things to ask, right? In my office, the things that I'm considering not doing, or I actually not considering, I've stopped doing. I went through this process. We stopped doing low margin optical sales. Okay, so we still do optical, but when we do it, premium lenses, higher end frames. We're not trying to hit that budget consumer. Now, that's not going to make every patient happy, but the patients that value the care that we provide clinically will self-select, and they tend to like the higher end, better quality lenses. See how it's synergistic in that sense? Trying to nickel and dime ourselves to hit the low end customer that just cares about price, they don't care about quality, they don't really value the other services we do in the office. Remember 74 comps or 75 comps to 25? When I cut back on that, we had to raise our prices to make it worthwhile. By raising the prices, a certain level of patient stuck with us. They believe in what we offer. The patients that only care about price, didn't care about any of the clinical expertise that we have, self-selected, and that's fine. Right? Those patients might like lens crafters. They might like Pearl Vision. There's a difference in mentality. We want the people that are drinking our Kool-Aid. Other thing that I want to stop doing. Stop treating mild or early dry eye casually. And by casually, I mean we stopped just saying, here, take some artificial tears and we'll review in a year. Either they have dry eye or they don't. We know what happens when it's left untreated. We see dry eye, we treat dry eye. No question about it. We screen every patient. There's no dipping your toe in the water. This is what we do. This is what we believe in. This is how we run our clinic. How do you run your clinic? I've heard the same concept, the same mentality applied to myopia management. When you talk to practices that are doing really well in a niche or specialty, they're doing these steps. They are passionate about their services. And you see people sell things that they believe in. The people that don't really believe in something are hesitant to pull the trigger. They don't want to make a patient mad. I have no problem offering IPL, Tixel, RF because I know they work. Now, you have to educate the patient on outcomes and expectations, but I know they work. I have no question in regards to ethics or selling when it comes to those things because I know what they will do in the journey of the patient. So we stop treating that, half it. The biggest thing, and this is something we talk about often, we stop trying to specialize in everything. At a certain point, we dabbled in sclerals. We dabbled in binocular vision. I thought about a sports vision clinic. I did vision therapy in my early days. Myopia management. We do it, but not at a huge high level. We don't do ortho-K. We have Stellus lenses. We have atropine. MySight contacts. Those can be easily integrated into our day-to-day operations. But we're not going above and beyond like we do for our dry eye patient. We're not screening every adolescent child for their axial length, talking about the, preventative things you can do with parents unless they're myopic and showing progression. Then we have that conversation, just like we have conversations with our glaucoma patients, macular degeneration patients. We see it on that level, but we're not trying to be specialists in that. If there was an office that opened up down the street that did nothing but myopia management, like a Treehouse Eyes, and they didn't do any other primary care, I would gladly consider sending patients to them. But we don't have that in our area. No one's went all in. Everyone's dabbling. So I think the level that we practice is higher than most. We actually measure axial length. If you're not doing that, what are you doing? Right? So those are things that we kind of stopped. Now, those are the first two steps. Step 3 is you have to take this from theory to actually operational subtraction. What does that mean? It's really easy for me to say, hey, we're not going to do low-end optical. We're not going to do scleral lenses. It's really hard when a patient comes in that we fit in sclerals before to say, no, we're not doing that anymore. When someone comes in and they have a certain frame, or we have one in the back that we could grab, that we make an exception. Exceptions mean you're not committed. That's really hard for me to say because I still am not perfect at this. I'm trying to mentally get on board with we don't do these things. This is a waste of our time, effort, and energy. If it even comes up, we don't touch it. I think that's something we're going to do in 2026. We don't fit these lenses anymore. You heard it here first on the podcast. But it makes sense. We're wasting time and energy on something that's not a primary driver of our mission and our passion. This is where you go from CEO, which I talk about, to CRO, Chief Reminding Officer. You have to continually tell your staff that you don't do these things. And you have to sell it in such a way that we're not taking stuff away. We're making what we do better. It's addition by subtraction. Make it operational, not just theoretical. Every time you make an exception, you're going against the message you're trying to send. And I think to my head, as I'm saying this now, how many times I'm like, hey, I said we don't do this, but I might make an exception. That's on me. I have to be better. 2026, here we come. We don't make exceptions. This is where we are. This is what we do. We don't do this anymore. Period. So you've decided what you're going to do well, what you're getting rid of. You've made it operational. The next step, you need to make that internal change an external change. What does that mean? Are you marketing to your patients what you actually do? Go on anyone's website, and for SEO purposes, they put on sclerals, myopia management, pediatric exams. The patient will contact your office. Hey, I see on your website that you do X, Y, or Z. No, actually, we don't. We just do that so you see our website and click on it. We didn't think you'd actually want to do that. I don't know, but that's what they do. I've had numerous conversations with my website team. We need to get that off there. We don't do this. Focus on what we do. Your patients need to know what you do. They need to see it on your Google My Business page, your social media profiles. When you post about something, is it the same message that you're reminding your staff about? Keep reminding your patients about it as well. They need to know what you do and hear consistent messaging. So market what you do to the world. So when they come in, they know exactly what they're getting. When you will go into a McDonald's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Allendale, Michigan, you know what a Big Mac is. You get a Big Mac. You don't really have to worry about that. Do they see on your website what they're going to get? When you post about something, is that consistent with your messaging? Or are you trying to go viral? You're trying to get a lot of views and looks. I think being consistent in your messaging is the most important thing. You're trying to run a business. If you're going to put effort and energy into something, make it have a purpose. That's just me and my soapbox there. Going viral might be a cool thing for you, and I'm not going to take it away. But remember, end of the day, we got to make our business what we want it to be. You can do those other things, but you can do it in a different medium than what your office is. You can have your own Facebook page. You can have your own YouTube channel. Make sure that your messaging for your office is consistent across the board. And then the last step, number 5, is you need to monitor KPIs that are related to that specialty and KPIs that are related to the health of the business. Remember that we took something away. If it is crushing your business and you're not getting the return that you hoped after a quarter, not a week, not a day, not a month, a quarter. I know that's 3 months. It's a very long commitment in our world. Your staff is going to ride you out. They think that after 2 weeks, you're going to lose your will and you're going to pull back and go back to the old way. How many times you come back from a meeting and you want to do a whole bunch of things and you do none? Zero, zip, zilch. You tried to implement it. Staff pushed back. You didn't have the real, resolve to see it through, and it ended. They're going to do that same thing if that's the culture that you built. If you see things through, they know you're serious. Give it 3 months, and then you can refine. Now, again, you may be refining or tweaking what you do from day one. Give it some legs, let it breathe, see how people respond and react. But don't make drastic changes. Implement it and then go. See what happens. But track your KPIs and don't be afraid to pivot, make a change, but give it time to be successful. Give your staff a chance to accept it as the way. And then revisit it quarterly. This process can only get better. Once you do that, you took something away, you got better. What else can you take away? Try to remove one thing every quarter next year. So that's 4 things you're going to stop doing over the course of a year to make the primary thing that much better. Now, remember what the purpose of this podcast was: to simplify your practice, to make it easier to operate. Focus on signal and separate out noise. You do that by subtracting the things that don't matter. If you don't have a good bead on what matters, you need to do that first. I have plenty of episodes about finding your vision, finding your passion, doing what you want to do, practicing the way that you want to practice optometry. Listen to those, but once you get to the point of having a little bit of strategy for your practice, this is the episode for you. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and today I will leave you with the Hawthorne effect. Let me read this to you. When people know they're being watched, they work harder. Like cleaning your room faster when your mom is watching. When you want to perform at your best, set up a friend to work side by side with you to keep you accountable. People adjust and improve their behavior due to their awareness of being observed. I put my business in the street, out here to the world, because it holds me accountable. I say things, and whether or not you guys are listening or watching, I'm accountable to you. I put my goals and aspirations out there because I know I perform better when people expect things of me. My staff, I have a weekly scorecard they get. I've emphasized the KPIs that matter, and they're watching those. I'm going to double down on KPIs this year. I mapped out every single step of the patient journey. With each step, there's a metric, a KPI that we can watch and make sure we get better at. Again, when we are being observed, when we're being watched, we tend to do better work. What do you need to put out into the ether do you need to make yourself more accountable for? Send me a message. Put accountability partner. Know that I'm doing this. I'll email you a quarter or a week. I don't care. But tell someone, tell a friend, text them. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. Hold yourself accountable. Hold your staff accountable. Be the doctor. Be the person that you want to be. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lily out.